Hello, everybody, and welcome to another episode of Tarot for Our Times. And as promised, I was going to do still yet another video on the mental so-called health of 45. And for this, of course, immediately that comes to my mind as a tarot card for that is the moon in reverse. Now, the moon card is all about the subconscious and secrets and all sorts of things. When it's in reverse, and it's a struggle. It's a struggle of the journey from the crab that's of the lower on the evolutionary ladder to the feral and the tame dog, and making this very struggled journey up the path to get between those two tarot pillars of transformation. Then you've got the masculine sun with the moon, and the sun reflects the moon, but the different phases of the moon, that's the shadow. And if we want to get Jungian, it's the shadow. We all have our shadow side. So, oh yes, and this is what I always forget to say. Please subscribe to my channel and hit a like, and that helps to grow it. So, at any rate, let me get on that. So, I've noticed it for about a year that he has really deteriorated. He was always kind of crazy, but yet what I want to say is that when this card is in reverse, that is like total lunacy, which is the Latin root word for the moon. But at any rate, he's been in a decline, and I will say since the election, I haven't been able to bear to look at him or listen to him, but sometimes that has slipped in. I love when Mary Trump plays him and she speeds up the video so he sounds like Donald Duck. That's kind of funny. But it's just he's saying the same thing about how he's such a victim and with trumped up charges but it's taken on a crazier sort of thing. So I have been reading articles and seeing videos on psychiatrists and other mental health experts who have said, yes, he is in cognitive decline. And there are things about that leaning forward stance of his that suggests some neurological issues. And it's just, I would say that whatever poor Biden, the problem he had during the debate, it seems fairly mild in comparison to all the stuff with the sharks and the electrocutions and Hannibal Lecter and all of this sort of thing. It just isn't normal. So I know there have been a lot of videos on his mental health, and what I try to do is put a little bit of a different slant so it's not a competition or a debate with other readers. But I want to talk a little bit about his own decline and what the state he is in now, and also how he has been a reflection of the mental health of the nation. Although I'm skeptical about his win, and that's for a whole other video, one thing that I will say is that regardless of that, let's assume that like votes were stolen, this and that, I would say there's still enough people in this country to have voted for him, having seen all of this crazy stuff, that it does make me wonder about the mental health of the nation. So when this guy is in reverse, I mean, you've got the feral and the tame dog. I would say in his case, there's two feral dogs in reverse, and they are really howling away at the moon. So this comes to, in spite of this, it comes to our cards of the year. of are we ever going to see justice done? He has not been held accountable. And the fact, if you want to even eliminate all of that criminal stuff, I mean, just looking at his mental health alone, I mean, how could people vote for that with having the nuclear codes and everything? So that's kind of what I want to take a look at. And I have addressed this, from time to time in different posts about, the abused women theory and all that sort of thing, which I may get into here. Keep going back. I mean, this is what the whole thing about. Well, we lost the abuser. Someone I think made a post on Facebook saying this election is all about. Well, we got rid of the wife beating abusive husband, and now he's out of jail again and coming back. So to me, that is the kind of the analogy of what's going on. So I want to do a couple reads. First, I want to do a reading on what is his state of mind right now. But I'm starting to think of the more important question is, what does this say about us? What does this say about us? So as I have been doing, I want to, I always like to mix up the readings a little bit and do something different. So first of all, we have the moon. And instead of setting the oracle card as the base thing, what I want to do is quickly pull an oracle card to clarify the moon. Ooh, okay, here we go to clarify the moon in reverse. Okay, and then we will do the reading. So I've shuffled these up a bit, and then I've gotten, oh boy, power. And this is a powerful female image, but it's, oh, we've got oh, this is interesting. Here we have, look at those animals below. Those are leopards. And I have seen more posts and even heard a song about, we didn't think the leopards were going to eat our face, but now the leopards are eating our face. So this is a very powerful thing to put with this emotional turmoil. It's like the danger of having someone as mentally or emotionally unfit as he is given power. And then here we have the leopards. Here we have the leopards right below. And that this could be a consequence. So a lot of this is about power, and those that are close to him, they have to know what's going on. So it's telling me is that they are so bent on keeping their power that they're going to overlook this. So I'm going to set these aside here. So that is, so to get us started off with, where are these bad boys here? Whoops, don't have a lot of room. Okay, so, okay, and then keeping in mind, I'm going to say that the one of the cards of the year, Justice in Reverse, it just does not, it's just not fair to us, and maybe even to him, in a moment of a little compassion, which is hard for me to do. So let's see, where are we at now with this? So we are at the wowie, wowie, wowie. This has been my card for him. The King of Pentacles in reverse. The King of Pentacles upright is the guy that really came up from nowhere and really did a lot of saving and being very clever and making nice surroundings with very little, very creative, to the one in reverse who is, he's not having any of that hard work stuff. This is the corrupt king. This is the one hand washes the other king. And this has been my main card for him. Now, I've had other kings in reverse that are basically the different pathologies of his personality, but I always think that The King of Pentacles and the Emperor reversed are definitely his cards. I guess since he's a Gemini, he does need to get at least a couple cards here. So okay, so we have the King, which is this tells me that this is a very amoral person. That somehow he in his development he never got a sense of like the right and wrong and morality. And I think his father was saying winning is everything, and to hell with all of that integrity BS, that kind of thing. Okay, so we have that going on, and then I'm gonna. Okay, so the underlying energy is the Page of Cups in reverse. This is a young person with an identity crisis, doesn't know where he fits in, emotionally disturbed, and any person in the tarot with a cup in his hand or near cups, or actually with a cup in his hand that's in reverse, tells me not only emotional problems, but very likely having substance abuse problems. So this is the when he was a child, that this is how this he developed into this from childhood, and a lot of it is never having to have any consequences for his actions. So let's see, what are what's under, of course this is pretty much underlying, but let's see, underlying this is I'm going to say in this case with the Five of Pentacles in reverse, I think this goes back to his father and grandfather with a great fear of poverty and being left out in the cold. So they would do anything to ever avoid that. And that they did get some help, but they didn't get that in the right place. So this is kind of a generational thing. That's funny thing is I think I know what I'm going to pull, and I never, it always turns out to be kind of a surprise. Then we have here the Queen of Cups in reverse. I would say his mother didn't help. I get a sense that she was a kind of emotionally needy person, and that her children were sort of second nature, and she produced children for the legacy and that sort of thing. So her job was basically done. That's kind of what I'm getting from this. So although I heard, his older brother was an alcoholic, but I have a feeling he was probably the nicer one of that clan. I got that impression from his daughter Mary. Okay. So, and then this is kind of like never having an original thought or inspiration, kind of poaching off other people, but kind of like dead, if you know what I mean. Just sort of like this dead energy. So this is kind of like all of this stuff that build up to make him. So let us see. We have in the past. Oh, this is interesting. In the past, we have the family and the Ten of Cups with the rainbow. I always, as I've said this before, I always see this as kind of the illusion, the idealized family that never quite exists except on TV and in the movies. And what this is one of those upright cards that I get a bit of a negative thing from. Then it gives people the really negative unrealistic expectations. And what I see in this is that when he was growing up, they had to put, and I think I heard this from Mary, they had to put up these appearances of being the perfect happy family. Whatever happened behind closed doors was to stay there. But that was the whole thing of the big illusion of the happy family and the father and son real estate thing, when they probably, the son could never do anything. None of the sons could do everything to make that crazy guy happy. And he never had the perfect child. But boy, they put on a good show. So I feel like this is psychology class with the tarot. See, one more from the past. Oh, again. And they ask me why I use more than one deck. We've got the Queen of Cups in reverse. So that is back. I don't know much about his mother, except I heard she was kind of cold and distant. So, and ironically enough, she was an illegal immigrant from Scotland. And so the whole thing is that they always talk about his father issues, but I think there were mother issues in that she may have been a kind of a cold fish and self-absorbed as she stares into the cup. And I think I've also, we all know about Fred's Alzheimer's. I think that this woman probably had undiagnosed issues. So there was like, if you get someone with a weak psyche, then that they're just not ever going to be able to get over this. There are others, and I think his niece is an example that she kind of broke out of that mold and went on and became a psychologist herself to get a better understanding of the craziness with which she grew up. So at any rate, I'm going to do conscious thoughts. Judgment. This is very interesting. This goes to this whole 10 of cups. It's like the real when this is in reverse, it's really the fear of being being judged, and it goes to the outward appearances. And we have Archangel Gabriel blowing the horn, but all these people are kind of floating off. They don't look like they're rising from they look like they're just free falling. So it's kind of like they're clueless. They never got the message in the subconscious. So in the conscious, we have the Four of Pentacles. Boy, oh boy, oh boy. This is hang on to that money no matter what. We cling to it and we're not terribly generous. We may go to charity events for show to give that good impression, but usually it's like hold on to the money. And that's probably been the underlying thing of what's been wrong. So it's almost like, well, there just isn't going to be enough. So that's been sort of like the inner, that's been a real driving force. So I'm going to do hopes and fears, which may need to, okay. The High Priestess that this woman holds, she's a very spiritual person, but underneath it, there's a lot going on with her underneath. And there are a lot of secrets and things like that. So, and also, I think there could be a little bit of a misdirection in some of the spirituality. So this is kind of about maybe putting on a religious front to please the evangelicals, but never setting foot in church, because she's just kind of, and I just say because it's from this deck, she's just sort of floating out there. I mean, she's kind of looking for something. She's just kind of floating out there and doesn't seem to be grounded to any belief. So, in the hopes, I think there's a hope that they could. I think there's a hope of that they have the hope of the evangelical vote, but there's been a rift. There's been a rift, and there's the fear that they are going to desert them because of a few things that have happened. So I would say that on the surface, which may be part of this whole craziness, is having to give lip service to something that he doesn't believe in at all, not whatsoever, and having to pretend with the Bible and kissing the flag. It's just a show. It's just really a show. If he were supported by a bunch of atheists, it would be a whole different thing. So it's talking about how being chameleon-like and kind of like this codependent thing to be pleasing whatever group is going to be to your advantage. So this is not a real healthy person. And because he never left that childhood thing. He's highly untreated, and I would say he's probably taken that step beyond where he's put a fork in him, he's done, and it's only going to get worse. So let's see what's going to happen in the future. He's always going to be fighting. He's always going to, and this guy kind of has his back up against the wall, but he's always going to perceive himself as being on the higher ground with his Seven of Wands. And actually, even if they overcome him and defeat him, he will never ever see it that way. So he pictures himself as the victor. But those things are really, really coming up at him. So I would say if something happens, and I think with this report coming up, plus all the other things, they've all, okay, I just got a big hit from this. This is all of this stuff that's happened in the past week. Um, we've got the report coming out. We've got the Supreme Court saying go ahead and sentence him. He may not have gotten a prison time, but now he's a convicted felon, and that which is highly unlikely that's going to be overturned, and that'll be in the court probably for years. So he's got that scarlet letter pinned to him that he'll be paranoid and thinking everybody's seeing that. I mean, and the whole thing is that now he feels that his one ally, Judge Cannon, turned on him, so he may not be able to forgive her for that. So he's and kind of the frostiness that he was treated at Jimmy Carter's funeral, all of this coming at him, and so he's kind of standing there, and usually on the other deck the guy is holding it to defend himself, but he's just kind of like holding it, and it makes me wonder if he's going to be able to hold it together, because this stuff isn't good. This is like frozen in time, except they're getting closer and closer. I don't think he's going to mentally be able to handle this. He doesn't have the tools. So let us see an outcome. An outcome for this is the moon. It's upright, which is telling me, oh, and it's that looks like a globe. I always said, is that really the moon? It's the moon. It is global. It's this is coming back to, he knows that there's some international intelligence that knows that oh, this is really interesting, that they know some funny stuff went on in the election, but he doesn't know if they have enough to prove it. But he could get inaugurated like 20 zillion times till Sunday, yet this is always going to be hanging over his head, because this is the moon with the secrets. He's wondering if the other shoe is going to drop. And these dogs are not so howly anymore. They're kind of looking at that, I would say, a little bit of fear. So he's going to have that gnawing at him. I'm going to say all of these things are telling me that paranoia of the third degree, and I'm going to hit this with a clarifier. Let's see. Here we go. Here we go. The King of Pentacles. Wow, I love this when this goes full circle. The King of, it's like he isn't changing. It's only going to be worse. What's telling me is that there's, the old saying, what is the definition of a neurotic? It's someone that keeps doing the same thing over again and expecting different results. So he's going to keep doing the same thing over again, only more so. And that's just going to really set. It's interesting because we had the moon. The moon is the theme card, and so this reverse King of Pentacles. He's just going to keep screwing up, because in his mental capacity, he doesn't know how to do anything else. And I have to wonder if he's inherited his father's Alzheimer's, because that is hereditary. I want to pull just one card to see if if he has his father's Alzheimer's. Okay. Interesting here. It's the Three of Pentacles, but kind of a different Three of Pentacles than the others. It's a negotiating, the artist and the patrons. It's kind of like I'm getting a big yes out of this because the Pentacles are also, it's not only money, but it's also about health. And I'm going to say that this guy in the picture is showing, has hung those other two pentacles, but he's almost like he's showing him, yes, there is a decline. They're dead. To me, this card is absolutely saying, yes, that is happening. So I have to reiterate, for entertainment purposes only. And this is, I am just pretty much going by what the story that the cards are telling me. So, oops. Okay, so for the second part of this reading, and I may make this a little bit shorter because I don't want to make this. I mean, what is this saying about us? This is a reflection, because I have been looking at this from, his son, who apparently is like, yeah, it's kind of some funny stuff with the the drugs, and the fact that he has to come on and say, I'm not doing cocaine. It's like, oh, I've heard that before, when somebody is in deep denial over that. And I kind of have to be careful and say, for entertainment purposes only. I just say, I lived in that neighborhood, literally in New York, where that stuff was flowing like water, and I'm pretty much familiar with the behavior. So I'm going to say, behavior-wise, so there is that. So the reflection of the addictions in the name, and also this whole thing of this blaming of the immigrants coming in and bringing fentanyl. And the president of Mexico is perfectly right when she's saying supply and demand. The Americans are the ones that are abusing this stuff. But go ahead and say that they're bringing in and making me do it. That's the good little druggy cop out, and that is kind of one of the mental things of what's going on. So let's see here they are. So I just want to see in a quicker spread as to how this reflects on us. And I'm going to say it's not a real pretty picture. I have to say that. So, people have said that he has come along, and he's been a big teacher, as where we're kind of sick as a nation. And I mean, I do have to agree with that. But I mean, they're talking about political and the corruption, but I would say all of that stems from medical disorders. If we were a healthier nation, this guy wouldn't have even made it through the primaries in 2016. But yet he's here we are now. And and I would say, I mean, I've been hearing all over the place about the Democrats being, I mean, there is a certain amount of it, but I think there's too much of a self beating up. But it could be that I do get a sense of the people pleasing stuff with Democrats, like, oh, we don't want to do the same thing they did 4 years ago. But that's another story. So I want to take a look and see, first of all, what does the Oracle have to say about this? Grace. Actually, I would say this may be an ambition of this, is to maybe we need to pause and put ourselves in a state of grace and do some reflecting and soul searching about this. So I would say that's what the Oracle wants to tell us. So let's see. I think I'm going to do a little reversal with this. Okay, so alrighty. So what does this say about us as a nation and our mental health? I have a feeling it's not going to be a very pretty picture. So we have, first of all, we have, this is pretty much the uninspired. I would also say that when you get the court cards with the wands in reverse, it really indicates tyrannical and unfaithful, kind of a thing, and it gives the wrong inspiration. This is January 6th energy. This is like really anger that hasn't been dealt with. It's not. It's when it's in reverse. I'm going to say this is at the lower energy thing, and I think that's why the grace card had to come up, because we really gotta keep this in check. So we have the wands in reverse, and then on the right flank, a little bit in the past, the hermit in reverse. So it's kind of like we really need to take some time to reflect. What this tells me is that the lesson was not learned, because this man's he spreads honesty, wisdom. He shines a light on things. But I'm going to say has been bringing us out into looking at a very dark place, and again, the Jungian shadow. So this is what, wow, it's really weird how many of these cards have come out in reverse. So then we have, I would say, there's a chance. I think what's happening now is that there is some regret about what people have done, and that it may not be bringing out the best in them. I think that people are becoming, you stamp your feet in and become more in denial, and I would venture to say that maybe the people in this country are now drinking and abusing drugs more. That's what this is saying. Is that there's a need. We're at the point where people can look around and say, I'm going to stop living in the past and turn around and look at these cups that I could put upright and know that we need to learn a lesson from this and do better the next time, or else pressure to get him 25th. I think this guy is so ripe for the 25th Amendment. I think this is kind of like very dangerously mentally ill. So let's see, we have here justice. Oh, good. This is a tremendous amount of hope. What this is telling me is that I think maybe people are getting so sick of this that they do want to, that the way that we are going to heal from this is to see that justice is done, and in some way that he is held accountable. Now, this could come after, if he's inaugurated, I keep saying that, if he's inaugurated and he starts doing all kinds of crazy stuff, that I would say that this is the opportunity for people, even in the reddest of the red, to say, you got to get him out of here. We got to do that. There could be a big pressure to impeach. So we've got the justice, and this is good that this is upright. This tells me that there may be some hope yet. So I'm just going to, let's see what's at the bottom of the, okay. This is really funny. This is kind of like this. I'm going to say this is the real wake up card to get the message. And the fact is that this is kind of some angry um, energy too. So I'm going to say that maybe people are going to need to get the anger out of their system to settle down. And are we going to see that happen? Let's see. We have High Priestess in reverse. That means that secrets are going to come out that we're going to have to face, which is, you can say all you want to about him, but people are going to start to see all of that stuff in themselves. So I would say that it's like almost like an alcoholic hitting bottom. It's kind of like you really, this is not a real pleasant experience, but you know that in the end, that once the truth has come out, that we've all survived this. And then, oh, goody, she's up right now. So this is about really, really reflecting, doing a soul search. And I would say that, being a big believer in free choice and all that sort of thing, that this is really the chance for people to do some soul search, to make and take care of themselves and take care of their families, and to maybe look and see how. I'm going to say this is interesting. I have to say this, that I'm feeling as though, and it goes back to my abused woman theory too. I really get a sense that people have dug their heels in about this person, because that kind of justifies the lives that they've been leading with, cheating, abusive husbands, or verbally, mentally abusive partners, and all this sort of thing. That and maybe justifying that it was their fault that they got raped, whatever. I think there's a lot of very sad people out there. So his own maladies have brought this to the surface, but people want to be in denial, and kind of like he represents, like, we're going to make him okay because that makes our lives okay. But there gets to be a point where that just doesn't work anymore. This spread gives me hope, but who knows how long it's going to take for that to happen. So I would say, pretty much in conclusion, it really looks like he isn't going to get any better. He's going to get a lot worse, which could really force some action to be taken, whether it's tomorrow or next year. That remains to be seen. I've also felt that if he does get inaugurated, that he's not going to last the 4 years. There's no way he's going to and I can't say if that's going to be impeachment or too ill 25th Amendment passing. We don't know, but I just don't see him lasting the 4 years. So I would say, don't get worried if there are people talking about, oh, he's going to try to change the Constitution to be in a third trip. No, he won't be. There's no way he would be able to do that. So I would say that this is really the message of that maybe it's time, whether no matter, because the Democrats have been cut, like their flip side, and I think these cards do say that there has been some kind of codependence and wanting to play nice, and it's kind of like the one that wants to placate the abusive, we don't want to act like the abusive father. So there's a big soul search that needs to go with that. And what I want to do now is pull an angel card, which I've forgotten to do for the past couple readings, but okay, so let's see. I'm just going to give this queen as the final message for this reading. Okay, so we have here, oh, let's see if I can pronounce that name. Lahaya, Lehaya, which is Hebrew for one of them. I'm not sure which one. Lehaya, which is talking about balance. It's kind of like, I think that if we're going to learn anything from this whole thing, is that we really need to take a look and see how this has reflected our state of mind. And I think with a lot of people, it's been, and yeah, I think that you can see it in the Congress with people like Mitch McConnell and Lindsey Graham, is that they have literally allowed him to bully them. But I'm going to say, as he loses power, that I think people are going to, who were bullied, saying, what can he do? If he tells the deep, dark secrets, I'll just say that everything that comes out of that man's mouth is a lie. And why should I care? Everybody knew anyway. So I would say that this is very important to get some balance in your life. It's going to, like, take care of yourself so you can deal with all of this better. And to know that the lesson is, no matter what you come from, you really you really need to address it and deal with it, or you will walk over that line into, being a sociopath or whatever, where help is pretty much forget about it. Because I don't think at this point in his life, if he has this fine Jesus thing, it'll be all fake anyway. So I think he does stand as a good lesson. Like if you had a rotten childhood, go out and deal with it somehow. So, at any rate, I think that we do have a lot to be learned from him. And I want to thank you for tuning in today. And I'll see you again soon because so much is happening. I don't know where to begin. So, take care of yourselves, and I'll see you again. Bye.